Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the third webinar in the physical activity series that is presented by WELLCOM in partnership with Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services, WorkWell, Worksite Wellness Council out of Lincoln, as well as the Panhandle Worksite Wellness Council. The first two, we were fortunate to have Brian Coyle from the state, as well as Andy Wessel from Douglas County, kind of kick it off, talk about the national call to action, kind of as what the state strategy is. And then last week, Andy really dug deep and got into some of the walkability strategies and active commuting, kind of little brief overview of kind of some of the projects that have been going on in the Omaha and Nebraska area. So today we're transitioning right from those and diving right into the lessons learned in regards to some of the strategies from the Walk It guide that was developed last year, as well as looking into the active commuting piece from Daniel Lawse from the Verdis Group. Rebecca Vinton, our president, was unfortunately not able to be here in person, but she is on the line. So if anyone would like to ask questions to her or like to say hello, you can say hi in their chat box or as well audio chime in. So for facilitating this one, there is a little bit different process from the last one. You can chat like the first two webinars. However, you can also webcam in so we can see your pretty faces if you'd like, or else you can audio in too to formally ask those questions. Throughout the presentation, we're gonna have three different presenters go. We're gonna stop after each one so you can ask them questions then. We'll also have whole questions at the kind of series at the end if you have anything to kind of wrap it up, just in case you forgot anything throughout. So I will first like to welcome our first two presenters over the Walk It guide, Lisa and Priscilla. Lisa Ramel is the medically based wellness coordinator for the YMCA of Greater Omaha. She holds a master's degree in health promotion and education from the University of Colorado Springs and a bachelor's degree in nutrition, exercise, and health sciences from the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. Lisa currently coordinates the chronic disease prevention and management programming available at all locations across the Omaha YMCA Association, as well as the promotional and evaluation of these programs. She is also part of their employee engagement team and implements worksite wellness initiatives. Her past experience encompasses community health and worksite wellness through nonprofit organizations and health systems. Lisa will be talking more in-depthly on the healthy parking strategies, and following her will be Priscilla from Hyatt Hotels. She has been there for 15 years in the Global Contact Center in Omaha, Nebraska. She has worked in many departments, and she feels as though hospitality runs through her veins. She graduated from UNO in 2006 with a degree in marketing and communications. Currently, her role oversees many learning technologies in 8 global contact centers around the world, including being on the Wellness Council for the GCC Omaha. She is the social media chair and website director for the Public Relations Society of America in Nebraska chapter for the past 2 years. She is also married and has 2 children, ages 5 and 2, as well as a husband who they both try to teach them as many healthy values as possible. And personally, health is extremely important in her life, and she is always seeking to do at least 1% better each day. So I would like to welcome both Lisa and Priscilla to this stage, and Lisa will go ahead and get us started.
Sure.
Oh. Do we need to mute anyone else?
All right, so I am going to talk a little bit about the healthy parking project that we had at the YMCA of Greater Omaha. So to start off with, I'm going to just give you a little bit of information about the YMCA of Greater Omaha in case you aren't familiar. So we are a nonprofit organization. We cover several different counties as well as 2 different states. So we're within Iowa as well as Nebraska. We have 9 different locations as well as a teen center here in the Greater Omaha area. We have approximately 850 part-time employees, a lot more during summer day camp, but right now approximately 850 part-time employees, and then approximately 100 full-time staff as well. All right, so for Worksite Wellness at the YMCA of Greater Omaha, we recently redeveloped our employee engagement team. So we didn't necessarily have a huge focus or focus areas within the YMCA of Greater Omaha for our staff. And so we've really worked on developing some key focus areas and initiatives within our financial year, our calendar year. So some of the areas that I'm going to go over just briefly, I'll tell you about, but I'm really going to focus again on our healthy parking initiative. So within 2016, we were able to start a employee recognition program. So we're doing this for our full-time staff throughout the association as well as part-time staff. We're doing this branch specific, so within our 9 different branches as well as association-wide. So this program really is focusing on giving recognition to those employees who are really doing a great job at promoting our mission and helping our members and our community. And so other programs that we are focusing on are having all staff outings. So a lot of times we really focus on helping our members and we forget to help our staff and really get to build those relationships. So we have had our employee engagement team and a health and wellness intern really work on creating these all staff outings with very minimal financial resources. And so we are having our first Y Olympics this summer. So we're really going to focus on the competition side, which is in our blood at the Y, and then also work on just how do we build those relationships and really keep our staff around. Otherwise, we do employee fitness and weight challenge. So we did our weight loss challenge this year. It was our first one. It was community wide. We had, I believe we had almost 10,000 pounds lost around the community. We had 9,978 pounds lost between the community and our staff. And so we were able to recognize community members and staff members for their weight loss successes, and then we are focusing on having an additional weight loss challenge next year. So that was something that we were really proud of. Another thing that we do is for our staff as well as our members is we do weight loss or fitness challenges throughout the year. We're starting our summer sweat challenge. So that's really focused again on helping our members to be dedicated to maintaining a healthy lifestyle as well as helping our staff really resonate with that challenge that we have out there for our members. So we also have been working on WELLCOM mini grants, which we have been really blessed to receive. We have been working with our healthy vending. We have been focusing on removing POP from our locations. I can't believe it's 2016 and the Y still have POP in several of our locations, but we've been working really closely with some of our vending partners and working towards making healthier options for that. We've also been working on breastfeeding, which is another one of those mini grants. We've been working with specifically one of our branch locations and implementing those best practices and seeing how we can move that forward to all of our association. And then what I'm really here to talk about is our healthy parking initiative, which is within the Walkability initiatives that we have. So healthy parking. So Justin approached us at the Y to see if we would be interested in implementing healthy parking. So as you can see this map, it's a little outdated, but it still gives you kind of a clear idea of where we are and how wonderful our parking lots are. So as you can see, they're a little outdated. They have some cracks, some bumps and bruises in there. But as you can see on there, we have lots of different parking spread out across our downtown YMCA location. So our association is hosted inside of our downtown YMCA location, and we have several different parking areas for our staff as well as our members. As you can see, the far left star is our furthest parking area. And we decided that we would like to pilot the downtown YMCA as our healthy parking spot and see how we could implement this into our association. So we were able to kind of get started with this through Justin, and I'll kind of go through how we were able to do that and give you a nice visual. So to begin, this initiative started off through Justin, like I said, and so we kind of did some digging. We have a health and wellness intern who was able to really work on kind of the ins and outs and seeing how we would be able to implement this. So she looked at the example that we were given through WELLCOM, through Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota. They have a wonderful space available for their employees, really far away from their facilities. It's gorgeous. It has blue all over on the parking lot space, as well as a nice visual sign saying, you know, you've made the right choice. You've added a couple extra steps to your day, and it's really been a huge success in their community. And so, you know, just having that idea, we were really able to visualize how we were going to implement this and visualize how we were going to go to our leadership and really get this to work for our location. And so to begin, we brought this to our leadership. So we are very fortunate to have leadership who was previously in health and wellness. So our VP of leadership is actually our former VP of healthy living. So it really is a nice piece into having that support, and that's just a barrier that we never really have to tackle. And so to begin, we discussed the location. So from that map previously, obviously, we decided that farthest away spot was where we wanted to really focus on getting our healthy parking spot. So the ins and outs of it, how to implement it, we really focused on partnering with NRG, which you can see that building with those 6 circles. That building actually, we discovered, owns that parking space. So we decided to move forward with that parking space regardless, because we thought it'd be a really great opportunity to, you know, continue that partnership with NRG. And we were able to discuss with them and just see, you know, is this something that you're okay with, and really develop and continue that partnership we have with them. And they were on board to have it. They also are interested in doing it as well. So I think that was a really good opportunity to really further the interest in the community for having healthy parking spots. So as you can see in the next picture, after we got approval from NRG, we just made sure within our association that this was something that everyone was okay with. Within our marketing department, we also are a national organization, so making sure that the YUSA was comfortable with us implementing something like this. You know how everything gets a little sticky. Yeah. And so we were able to have approval throughout our association, throughout our boards, throughout the national national organization, YUSA, and everyone was really on board, which is something that I think should just come naturally, being the place that we are.
Absolutely.
And so we were able to implement this, and Justin, as you can see, was so kind to come and help us spray paint it. We didn't have the best of luck with weather. You can't quite tell, but it was a little chilly and very, very windy. And as you can see again, our parking space is definitely reflective of our nonprofit organization, and so it's very humble. But I think just as you can see this, it's a really great visual for implementing healthy parking. And so I just wanted to go over some challenges and successes that we had. So getting that approval wasn't quite as easy as it should have been. Making sure that all the executive directors across the association were comfortable with having a pilot at one location doesn't seem like a huge challenge, but it always is. And so making sure that, again, all of the board members, if they're not available at the board meetings, to all accept that as well. And that's just comes with the territory. Another issue was that parking space barrier that I spoke about briefly. So just making sure that you have parking space that you know is 100% yours, or that that person is 100% okay with you putting down some permanent materials on.
Semi-permanent. Semi-permanent.
Well,
you can always paint over it.
Exactly. And so that's another thing that we learned was I wasn't aware that there was temporary spray paint. So that's something that, as you're looking towards doing something like this, just exploring all of the options. Making sure that you know your space, your departments that control those spaces. As far as the logistics of it, Justin and I had to go in and find a box to hold up to make sure there's no spray paint going anywhere. So, just making sure you take time to think through every little detail. It's easy to jump on the bandwagon and just go for things, but really making sure to take time to really sit down, think through every little detail to make sure that it's a success. And that's what pilots are for, too, to make sure that you move forward in the right direction. As far as successes, I think, like I mentioned, that continued partnership with NRG, just making that awareness in the community that initiatives like this exist, companies like WELLCOM exist to help you. And, they were truly interested in learning more about WELLCOM. And I think that really just helps build awareness within the community for making healthier choices. I think, again, while I talked about a little bit of the barriers for leadership, everyone truly was interested in helping our staff become healthier, and having that approval and support, I think, is huge for moving forward with different initiatives that WELLCOM may have, or that Omaha as a community may have. And so I think that implementing small things really do make a difference with having that true leadership support. Otherwise, our successes for the YMCA, everyone absolutely loves this spot. When people come on site for our association meetings, they rush there to get the spot. And so that's something that we're really proud of, that people are interested in talking about it, and having that move forward to the different locations. Everyone's on board, and we're trying to figure out how to best implement that into all of our branches. Being an association, there's lots of different questions for each person and each branch. So how do we make sure this is really properly implemented and really the most successful it can be? We also are looking at just some unique opportunities to help promote the Y as well. So having a stencil added on the bottom, just exploring different ideas of how we can really make this really great for the Y and great for our community. Other ideas that we have, we've been working with WELLCOM to move forward with making more awareness within the community for our healthy parking spot, is making a healthy parking sign or a walkability sign, and implementing that within not only the pilot location but throughout the association as well. Let's see here. I think that's about it for me.
Yes, thank you so much, Lisa,
you're welcome.
for talking about that. On the same gear for strategies from that Walk It guide, Priscilla will now go ahead from Hyatt and talk a little bit more about those strategies and kind of start with more of that walking map.
Right. Okay. So let me figure out the mouse here. Oh, there we go. So just to kind of introduce myself, I am with Hyatt, as Justin introduced. We are a global hospitality hotel chain. Hopefully everybody knows what Hyatt is. We're the other H word, as I like to say. I've been with Hyatt, like you said, for 15 years. So wellness, as far as Hyatt goes, is something that you don't necessarily associate with a hotel chain, but we specifically here in Omaha are in a global contact center, or reservation center, as maybe most of you know. So we live a very sedentary life. In a hotel, it's a little bit different, but when you're in a global contact center or reservation center, you sit as most corporations. So I would say the majority of our employees, approximately 600 employees, have very sedentary jobs. So for us, this has really been a huge initiative. We started what was called Thriving Lives. Thriving Lives basically supports healthy lifestyles of our colleagues through promoting movement, nutrition, sleep, and mind-body wellness. This was really started by one person, one of our assistant directors in my department with operations design and learning communication, who had type 2 diabetes. And she lost 95 pounds by changing her lifestyle. She no longer has to take insulin. She has been able to manage it by eating better and movement, exercising. So to hear a story like that, wellness for us is not just a visual appearance, it's also internal appearance. And so through her motivation, she sought out other motivated people for health and wellness, whether it be mental issues, mind-body issues, positivity, things of those natures. And our VP loved the concept, especially with the things that we overcome. Through this, our wellness efforts are through our department, so operations design and learning communication. Our wellness is less than a year old, so we're fairly new. We've actually done some pretty great initiatives, I think, so far for being under a year old. None of us are professionals. None of us have nutrition backgrounds or degrees, but we're very passionate. And so I think where we lack in maybe formal education, we make up in passion. The fact that we have zero budget and what we've been able to implement is also kind of amazing. So sitting where we are today, I am extremely proud of what we've been able to accomplish. And really excited for the lives that we're going to change and hopefully maybe even save. Our vice president has very much been on, we're going to be constantly on beta mode. Nothing will be kind of firmly done. Even with our pillars that we've designed as far as movement, nutrition, sleep, and mind body, if we find that something else is more important, those may change. To come into a program with wellness and say that this is our program and that's it, we felt was very too strict. Because as we all know, life changes. So we have to be open to change constantly. With the business market, especially in hospitality, our jobs change every day. So my department of operations and design, learning communication, such a long word, OD and LC is what I like to call it for short, is about a year and a half old as a department. Instead of having to go through lots of different marketing and a department for operations and a department for communications, they combined it in one department. So you don't have to necessarily deal with all the barriers that you do with political things that go on in an organization, which at first was a really challenging, but has been awesome now that it's kind of found its place as to who does what. So interesting place for a wellness council, but it's been really great. We also have a member of HR on our team as well as building management. HR has always been on our team from the initial onset of the Wellness Council. As we started going through processes, we needed building management on our team as well. So instead of going to building management and saying, hey, we want to do this, including those people in the conversation in the beginning and help you with the brainstorming, it's more likely to get implemented and quickly. So we invited them to join our Wellness Council. So we decided to take that approach instead of trying to work to create proposals and get them on our team. If they're on our team from the beginning, I think that's a win. So just to kind of explain where we are and where we come from. I wanted to go back really quick. As far as Hyatt goes as a company, our purpose statement is we care for people so they can be at their best. So similar to what Lisa was mentioning with their clients and the people that they serve, it's very similar in hospitality. We get so busy caring for our guests that sometimes we forget to care for ourselves. And so we've really taken this as a motivation that in order for our own internal people as well as ourselves to be at their best, we have to care. And so that includes wellness, just to kind of bring that up. So where we started with an interest survey, finding what our people were interested, as well as we got aggregate data from our corporate human resources department advising our top 10 medical issues and hospitality issues. Amongst Omaha, our top 3 issues were depression and obesity. One of the things that we posted last week on our internal social media was walk yourself out of a bad mood. Walking definitely not only helps physically, but emotionally and mental wellness as well. So walking has a huge impact, and being that those are 2 of our top 3 issues, obesity and depression, we really needed to hit the ground running and really dive after those things in a simplistic approach, and something that was not so intimidating as like, we're going to get you losing tons of weight, or we're going to implement this huge exercise program. Something as simple as we're just going to start with walking. Something easy. Let's just get people moving. And so that's kind of where we went to, well, how do we define movement? Instead of having a definition, we decided to use quotes, again, because we're in the always beta phase, that could change. And so we thought this really represented our idea of movement. Take action. An inch of movement will bring you closer to your goals than a mile of intention. It really speaks that you don't have to do a lot to make big differences, and just something as simple as moving can really change your life. So where did that lead us? Well, we applied and received the Walkability grant, as well as the additional grants, the same as Lisa, the breastfeeding wellness and support, as well as the healthy vending. So those of you who haven't applied for the grants, I highly encourage you to do so, because for us with the zero budget, that has given us some ability to do a lot with a little. We've developed an internal building walking path, which was launched on National Walking Day, which was April 6th. So very recently launched. And we've also proposed a permanent placement of the internal path. So this is our internal walking map that was brought out. We took our current floor plan, kind of highlighted some landmarks, as you will, for what people would recognize, our break room, some meeting rooms, just to kind of give them an example. And we actually had a rolling measuring stick is the best way I can explain it. The wheel that you roll, and it actually takes out the foot. We actually had 4 of our apprentices walk it themselves and count their steps as well. So we kind of did a few different ways to have some fun with it. But ultimately, we figured out that a figure 8 was a quarter of a mile 2 times around. And so we were able to say, okay, if you do the figure 8 times, you've reached a mile. Which was it took a little bit of math. So again, my degree's in marketing and communication. So it was a little bit of work to figure that out. But once we did, we had to figure out the easiest way, of course, to communicate this, as not to confuse people, as which direction to go, and keep it in a way that was still maintaining business, because this is, as you can see, on our regular business floor. In fact, my desk is, right here. So people are walking by my desk constantly, so I can see when this is being used. And to tell you, it's actually exciting when I've done the walking path, people root you on. It's kind of fun, and it's different. People were concerned at first, is this going to cause an interruption? But the interruption it has caused has been positive. It hasn't been negative. And not only that, it's a visual reminder, like, hey, they're getting their walking in. How come I can't? So it's been pretty great as far as that goes. How we launched it was with the National Walking Day. So we sent an email to our entire staff, including our remote associates. Another unique thing for us is we have approximately 300 remote associates that are located throughout the United States. So we have about 300 in the building in Omaha and 300 all over the U.S. So promoting an internal walking map doesn't reach all of our staff. So we still wanted to include them in this because, again, their lives are sedentary too. So we had a little bit different idea for them, which I'll go over in just a moment, but we wanted to include them as part of the launch to let them know what we're doing and let them, be part of the conversation. We had internal displays for our digital message boards for the day. So an ad, as you will, kind of letting them know what was coming up. We posted messages on Yatmo, which is like our internal social media site. And we also posted to our Hyatt Thrive Omaha, which is our Facebook page, and it is public. So I'll kind of show you a little bit of what we did. So our email communication that went out explained that we were starting this encouraging National Walking Day and why it was healthy, and it was partnered. The National Walking Day, I'm not sure if you know, but it's part of the American Heart Association, and how 30 minutes of walking a day can drastically reduce your risk for heart disease. And so we encouraged everyone to go out that day and do 30 minutes of walking, whether you were in the office or not in the office. And that day was forecasted to be rainy and cloudy, so launching our internal map was actually perfect. You'd never want to pray for a rainy day, but that day we were so excited that it was going to rain because it would force people to use our walking map. So it was kind of a fun thing, and people were kind of thinking I was a little crazy when I was cheering about rain, but it couldn't have worked out better. So that went out to everyone with the map attached. We also, this was our digital message display board, so it showed the American Heart Association, the National Walking Day, and just said to join us. So very simple message, try to keep it consistent amongst our email as well as our digital message board, and then our Yatmo post. So we posted on there when it was, how you can join. You can learn, we encourage people to post on here as well as on social media. As well as for our remote associates, we explain to use things such as charity miles, which I'll kind of go over. So Facebook, we had 74 unique views of 450 staff members, approximately full-time, part-time within the building. So granted, that's not a huge number, but from going from nothing to something, I was pretty proud about that for our Facebook. And we had people participate. So while the first part of the day was rainy, the second part of the day, the sun came out. So we did about 6 loops in the building, and then we finished out the last 2 outside. So you'll see my bright smiley face right there in the front there as I'm taking pictures of our community team who, as a group, we went out for a walk. So there was 8 or 9 of us that participated, so you definitely couldn't miss us walking around the floor. So it was very cool. For our remote associates, again, the Charity Miles app is the way that we recommended they participate. It's a free app, and it donates 10 cents for every mile that you walk to the charity of your choice, and it's free. So it not only benefits the community, but it helps track their distance as well as time. And we had associates post that as well. So the next steps. Some tips I can give you is understand your needs and your audience. Definitely use your resources. Again, if you haven't applied for those grants, do so. Make sure you have a communication plan. Keep it simple and consistent. So again, those visual elements, keeping the naming conventions the same, and plan a launch with a fun event. Again, we did it with the National Walking Day. It really helps to add that momentum behind it that you necessarily wouldn't be able to create naturally. Try and make it a family goal. We encourage people to bring their families out that day and go walk with them after work if they couldn't do it during work, and continue to communicate about it, putting it in social media, putting it on your internal social media, any way to recognize good behaviors. And the biggest thing is just have fun. Those are the biggest tips I can give you. Some obstacles that we had were The budget, we didn't have any. So applying for the grant was a huge obstacle, which was great that we had that resolution. And printing the map is free through MSpace, so there's still resources for you to get your maps printed permanently. For us was our remote associates, which we included through our charity app Miles. Beta testing everything and continuing to change has kind of been an obstacle. We're always in change mode, which can be a positive as well, but can be an obstacle because you're never finished. We've had a challenge of a high-res CAD image of the floor plan to get printed on the end result, but we're working through that so we can get the finished product up. How to create the image and match it to our brand. So what MSpace has created and making sure that it matches with our brand standards. We're working with MSpace to kind of implement some changes to their design because what they design doesn't necessarily implement and show what our brand image is. So displaying the poster in a professional way, again, in a way that is with our marketing and way that we need to. And then how to display it, our outdoor movement path will be something that we have to overcome. So things that we're thinking for the future: branded pedometers at a low cost, a walking challenge, finalizing our indoor signage, creating an outdoor walking path for different levels, and then finalizing our parking signage. Again, the more we can do for just encouraging movement, the better. We have started our healthy parking initiative. We had a Take Your Child to Work day where we got the families involved. Instead of doing spray paint, we did sidewalk chalk. So we took this out there, and it's a fun way that you can use to present to your board, or in our case, our vice president. And as you can see through posts on Facebook, it really got our VP on board. These kids had a blast, and it washed away in the rain. So it's really been great. It's been approved, and now we just need to lay it down and spray paint. We have where we marked out where we wanted to put our healthy parking in some areas and allowed our VP to pick. So we gave our VP some ideas and ways to go. Again, proposing where we wanted to put our signage. We made it very simple and clear, including our building maintenance. And hopefully we'll get that up within the next 2 weeks. So that really is where we are with our indoor walking path and where we've been and where we're going. If anybody has any questions.
All righty, thank you so much for that. And just a reminder, if you have your microphone on, please mute that as other people can hear that. And that also means that you can also ask questions through audio, or you can also type them in through the chat box on there. So now kind of switching gears along from walkability kind of inside the workplace. Now we're kind of switched to walkability to the workplace. So the cool part is I have Daniel Lawse from the Verdis Group. He is the chief century thinker and co-owner of the Verdis Group. He is a sustainability consulting firm that is based in Omaha. His passion is cultivating adaptive and resilient solutions for communities and organizations to flourish now and as well as for generations to come. He brings his passion to some of Omaha's largest employers, including Omaha Public Schools, the Nebraska Medical Center, UNMC, and Omaha's Henry Dory Zoo and Aquarium. As part of his commitment to all generations, he shares his time and energy to help create a thriving community through service on community boards. He is also a father, walks, bikes, or buses most places, and thrives in the forest. Mostly, though, he is a human being trying to live as fully as possible. He has been recognized with MAPA's Regional Citizenship Award and is a National Aspen Environment Forum Scholar. Daniel holds a Master of Community and Regional Planning from the University of Nebraska at Lincoln with an emphasis in energy and sustainability planning, and a Bachelor's of Arts in Theology from Creighton University. So I'd now like to please welcome Daniel.
Thanks, Justin.
You're welcome.
I'm going to go through these hopefully kind of quickly so we have good time for discussion, but if I go too quickly, let me know. So the first question I ask is what is active commuting? You talked a lot about walking at the workplace, which is fantastic. Where do you park, getting more steps in your day? It's all this continuous thing. And so my part of the presentation is really about getting to and from work. And then you do all the internal walking map, the healthy parking, all these things just blend into what we want is we want people to get up and move. Right? Mm-hmm. It's all about movement. So how do we integrate movement into our commute? And people think active commuting has to be I'm all or nothing. Oftentimes they think, I can't active commute because of all these excuses and barriers, and well, I couldn't walk every single day of the week. I've got kids to pick up, or I've got errands to run, or I have meetings during the day. So I like to introduce this idea that active commuting is about doing it once. Try it once a week. And it looks different because it's multimodal. Sometimes you might drive on your own, sometimes you might carpool, sometimes you might take the bus, sometimes you might bike, and sometimes you might be able to do it every single day of the week. But on any given week, it's going to look differently. And the invitation is just try it one time. One time, 1 week. Maybe you can get a ride one way and then you walk or bike or bus home the other way. I also recognize that people throughout the state, the public transportation system is different. So I'm going to talk a lot about buses. I know Omaha and Lincoln have a very robust public transportation system in certain parts of their community. I know that doesn't apply to some of the other communities in Nebraska. However, I think some of the other communities in Nebraska have better walkable and bikeable towns, just the way they were designed, and they haven't been sprawled out as much as Omaha and Lincoln. I gave it away, 40 minutes a day. This is the average amount of time that people spend commuting across Nebraska, between 18 and 20 minutes one way. I'm going to ask you to do some math and think about if you commute in, let's just assume you're in a car, 40 minutes a day, how many days out of the year do you think that is?
I know the answer, but I don't want to give it away.
Try 4 weeks of vacation. So you're spending 4 weeks of vacation, 4 40-hour weeks of vacation, commuting. So the question becomes, are there things that we can do differently while we're commuting to build activity into that time? Some people love the car and the trip of, kind of zoning out or listening to their podcast. There's some value in that. Other people hate commuting in the car because of the stress of traffic, of other drivers. And so the invitation is, here's an opportunity. You're spending 4 weeks a year moving from home to work. How about you add some activity to that sometimes? If you want to do it all the time, great, but it doesn't have to be. Just like the walking, you don't have to do it every day. That's a goal to strive for. But the goal is 30 minutes of physical activity a day. And if you can get 10 minutes on your commute, 5 minutes because you park in a healthy parking, and you get 10 minutes in the middle of your day, you're almost at your 30 minutes. So I want to point out there's kind of a three-pronged approach to sustainability and wellness. There's the health and wellness benefits of active commuting. This is looking at the calories burned per 20 minutes and calories burned per 1 mile. So if you know how long your commute is, if it's less than 2 miles, you might be able to walk. You can burn 94 calories a mile. Or if you're going to walk for 20 minutes, you can burn almost 100 calories. The same 20 minutes spent in the car, you're burning about 50. If you get on your bike and bike for 20 minutes, you're burning, 3.5 times what you do if you're sitting in your car. So this physical activity thing is really a big deal. If you can get even part of your commute to be moving. And if you ride the bus, you're walking or biking to the bus, because very few people have a bus that stops outside their front door. There are environmental benefits to active commuting. If you think about the emissions that are currently generated from a gasoline or the average mile per gallon car, you're looking at 4,500 kilograms of CO2 emissions for a 20-minute commute. The SUV on the right is over 5,000. Compare that to walking and biking, it's much less. So anytime that you get out of the car and jump onto a bike or walk, you're preventing the emissions that you would have been doing. Or if you hop on a bus, because the bus is driving anyway, you're avoiding any emissions from reducing that car trip. And there's huge financial benefits. If you look at the cost per month of walking, biking, riding the bus, or driving a car, the car data comes from the AAA. Every year they look at what are the costs to own, maintain, and operate a car over the course of a year. I divided that out by month. It's over $700 a month to own, operate, and maintain a car. That's insurance, that's purchase price, that's gas, that's oil changes, tires, all of that. To own, operate, and use a bicycle is only $26 a month. That includes the same thing of purchasing the bicycle, maintenance, ongoing, all that stuff. Even some gear, if you're going to wear special gear, helmet, safety stuff so you're visible, lights for your bicycle, all that's included, $26 a month. And then walking is only $15 a month, and that's looking at, it's Nebraska, so there's no such thing as bad weather, there's just bad clothing. So if you're going to walk why not get the right clothing? So that's rain gear, umbrellas, raincoats, it's hats, gloves, scarves, what you need to stay warm, and kind of that stuff wears out, so you have to replace that. But on average, $15 a month. And then in Omaha, the bus system, for unlimited rides anywhere you want to go that the bus goes, it's $55 a month. So that's the max you would ever pay. And then you might say, if you're an employer, well, what about the cost to employers? That's great for the employee. Those are savings that they'll see when they use active modes, not to mention increased health and the benefits of that with medical care. But employers are all in the transportation business, whether they think they are or not. Think about where you work, or if you're the employer and kind of the management, think about how many parking stalls you have at your location. And are they empty? Are they full? How often are they empty or full? Whether you admit it or not, you're in the business of storing 2-ton pieces of metal on wheels that your employees drive to work. So you're kind of like those dyno storage units, only temporary, and you're storing people's cars, but there is a cost associated with that. Tinstaffel is there's no such thing as a free lunch from your basic economics in high school, right? Tinstaffel. There's no such thing as free parking. It's paid for somewhere.
That's awesome.
And it really is a cost that's often hidden, because most people across Nebraska do not pay for their parking at work. Right. Like, they don't pay. If you're in downtown Omaha and Lincoln, those are probably the two highest chances of paying for parking. Right. If you work in an office park, you probably pull up, park, and you walk in from the healthy parking spot, right? Mm-hmm. But you're paying for that, because you might not be getting paid as much in wages because your organization had to build that parking lot, keep it striped, plow it with snow. The average cost to build a surface parking lot, one stall for surface parking, is $3,000 to $5,000 in Nebraska. To build a garage spot, it's $20,000 to $25,000 just to construct one stall. And some of these parking garages have 300 stalls in them.
Wow, amazing.
And then that doesn't include all the ongoing operations and maintenance costs. Mm-hmm. So just recognizing that you're in the transportation business can open up a new opportunity to say, look, what we want is we want our employees, we want our team to be able to come to work and work. How they get here, there's a lot of different ways, and some ways are going to work for some people better. That's the other thing I forgot to mention at the beginning. Active commuting isn't going to work for all people all the time. I talked about it doesn't work all the time. Riding the bus doesn't work for everybody, because if you're not close enough to the bus route, it's not going to work. If you don't live close enough to work, you probably aren't going to walk to work. But there are people within your organization, it's a percentage, that this can work really well for. So if you think about cutting that out of your parking lot, providing benefits to them because you provide free parking to the people who drive, what are you providing to people who want to walk and maintain a healthy lifestyle on their way to and from work? So these are the costs. I hope that's not too small on your screen. This is in Omaha, the cost comparison of transit versus parking. So on the left, you see a transit pass is going to be $40 to $55 a month. And this is the cost. So employers sometimes will subsidize that entirely, just like they subsidize parking entirely. Other times they'll have a cost sharing agreement with transit. And often they'll have cost sharing agreements with, downtown high density areas where there is a fee for it. If the employer leases a lot and provides that parking to their employees, the cost is between $50 and $70 a month. Now, if you own your own surface parking lot and you don't charge your employee anything, you as an employer, it's costing you $73 to $163 per month to construct, own, and maintain that surface parking stall per employee. And if you have a shuttle, then there's another $30 that you could add per month per stall. Then the parking garages, this goes up, it's $120 to $224 if you are an employer who owns and maintains a parking garage and doesn't charge anything for your employees. So when I say there's no such thing as free parking, these are the real costs. The question becomes, does your employer just absorb that as a cost of doing business, and therefore they don't have as much money for research and innovation, they don't have as much money for wellness councils, right, or they don't have as much money to pay a slightly higher wages because they're providing free parking for employees? So there's cost benefits on both the employer side and the employee side. I won't get into the details now, but there's tax benefits as well for both the employer and the employee, just like you have maybe some people call it cafeteria plans or flexible spending accounts. Mm-hmm. You as an employee can use pre-tax dollars to buy transit passes. You can use pre-tax dollars to support biking expenses as well. Just like in some cities, you can use pre-tax dollars for paying for your parking. So it's kind of this tax advantage.
Right.
In Omaha, 3 out of 5 employees say it's important for their employer to support transportation options beyond cars. Again, driving alone to work in your own personal car is going to work for a lot of people. But there's people that it's going to work for, that not driving is going to work for. Biking, busing, carpooling, and walking. 42% of the bus riders in Omaha use it for work, and 13% of the Metro riders use the bus service for college. And in the same survey that was done in 2012, 44% of employees and 27% of students stated that the cost of parking was extremely influential in their decision to start participating in a bus pass incentive program. So if you aren't charging for parking, one of the ways to get people to move more, this is not a popular solution, but it absolutely works, is to say, look, it actually costs us $50 a month to provide a free stall to you. So how about we start charging everybody $15 a month to help offset that? Or we'll give you a free bus pass, or we'll reimburse you for some bicycle expenses or walking shoes or clothing. So you're subsidizing how your employees get to work already. The question becomes, are you doing it equitably for the people who can do it in ways other than driving their own personal car? And I don't have anything against cars. I think cars are fantastic, but I like to mix it up and I like to build activity into my day. Here's an example of how you can shift the percentage of people moving in your organization. So you can see the U.S. commute modal split. We're looking at drive alone is the dark blue bar, carpooling, transit is green, working at home is kind of that yellow, walking is orange, bicycling is gray, and then other like motorcycle, moped, and other means. I'm going to have you look at the graph on the right, the UNMC commute modal split. When we started working with them as Verdis Group, they were at 90% of people were driving alone to work. And when we suggested that they might actually save money by providing some of these other benefits, there's like, well, who's going to participate in this? Are we really going to have people? It doesn't work for me. I mean, around the room, people are like, well, I can't ride the bus. I don't live by a bus line. I wouldn't walk to work. I'd get too hot and sweaty, or I live too far away. Like, again, it's not going to work for everybody. But in 1 year's time, we went from 90% of people driving alone to 81. So 9%.
That's huge for how much staff they have. That's
absolutely.
crazy.
I have 10,000 people who work there.
That's amazing.
And you can see that I don't have the before. I should show the before graph so you can see what changed. But carpooling increased, walking more than tripled. I think it was at 2% of people walking. But then when they created a Travel Smart program, they created an emergency ride home, which is a big deal. So one of the challenges and barriers of active commuting is, well, what if I carpool with you, Justin, you get sick and you're my ride home, I'm stuck at work. Well, not to worry, we've got the emergency ride home. It's like the insurance policy. I can call and get a taxi ride at the employer's expense. I don't have to pay for it, and I can get home. And that's a very low cost insurance. But the idea that it's there for employees makes them more willing to say, I'm going to ride the bus today, or I'm going to bike. Or what if your kid gets sick at school and you need to get there more quickly and you can't bike there or walk there? The emergency ride home can take you to pick up your kid at school and then take you home. Because of that, that's one of the reasons why the walking expanded. People were more comfortable coming to work. They knew they had a way out if they got stuck or needed something in an emergency. Bicycling doubled. It was about 0.5%. Now it's about 1%. And riding the bus was below 0.5%. I think it was 0.3%, and now it's like 1.5%. So a lot of big shifts. And again, it doesn't work for everybody, but 9% out of 10,000 people is a huge amount of people who have now started active commuting. And just think about how many more steps they get in their day. So I'm an active commuter almost every day of the week or during the work week. It's funny, my steps go way down on the weekends. Whereas I think a lot of people that I've talked to have lower steps during the week, and then they go up on the weekends when they do activity. My steps are higher during the week. I get probably 7,000 to 8,000 steps by the time I get home, and I never went to the gym.
That's great.
So it's one of those things that I do for my own wellness, and it's something that you can do even once a day or try it one time a week. The first step to really assess what to do is do a survey like this and ask some other questions about strategies. This will help you identify maybe busing is not going to be an option for any of your employees, so don't spend any money or resources building a bus program. But maybe carpooling is the big thing for you, or maybe walking is. Then you start setting goals. If you're at 80% mode split of single occupancy vehicle, maybe your goal is 90%. Or 90 to 80, sorry, I did that in reverse. Then it's about implementing strategies. You get information from the survey about that. You can utilize technology. More and more people have smartphones or Fitbits or some sort of wearable technology or pedometers. You can incentivize people with those. You're talking about pedometers. Now you can say, if you do active commuting, those steps count too for whatever incentives or recognition that you're putting in.
Right.
And policies, you need to have this both support from the top and from the bottom. I like grass tops and grassroots. Having that policy support really does help employees feel comfort to be able to get there. And if you're a WELLCOM member, there are some great benefits going on right now. The Active Commuting Toolkit that lists all the strategies on how to implement these programs, kind of like the Walk It Guide for at work.
Right.
The Active Commuting Toolkit is going to become available, I believe, June 7th is the launch date. We're really excited for that.
Yeah.
And the baseline report, so doing that survey, getting an assessment of where your employees are, what they can do, what would work well for you. Verdis Group and WELLCOM have a partnership, and with some grant funding, it's cut the price in half for that survey. So if you want to do this baseline report, get an idea of where you should invest your time and energy, if you're a WELLCOM member, you can receive a discount. And they also have some scholarship dollars, limited scholarship dollars available to help offset even the half price of the survey and baseline report.
Gotcha.
So you can take action right away.
That's great.
So with that, before we wrap it up, I will just open it up for any questions for all three of our presenters. If you guys are out there, if you do type it in a chat box, we can see that. However, if you have any audio questions or want to turn on that webcam and say hi to us in person, and you're more than welcome.
I'm personally available to stay a few minutes longer if there are some lingering questions.
I wanted to bring up when you presented before, you mentioned that was something great for me is you can host bus passes at your organization free, and it doesn't charge you. So for me, that was something that really struck me as really interesting. I know you said it's hard for people sometimes to get that. Hyatt is right on a bus line. So for us, it was really cool when you brought that up. It's like, what an amazing benefit we can offer our employees that they would look at it as a perk and not something that was negative, which again, if you can try and find that, what's in it for me, I thought that was amazing and something I took back to my organization right away, and we're working on getting those at our reception desk right now.
Cool. So then employees can just purchase their bus pass there.
Yep, they can purchase the bus pass. If their car would break down in the parking lot or get a flat tire, they can hop on the bus line and get home. So that was a great share.
Hi, this is Becky. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
First of all, that was an amazing. All three of you just articulated beautifully how you are incorporating all these components into creating that foundation, that infrastructure through all these different avenues to create an environment that supports all people. So we know that all these initiatives are a piece of the larger picture where building that culture that supports them in all areas is so important. I think my question is to Daniel. So we know that there are health benefits by incorporating active commuting initiatives, but a lot of times the wellness coordinator sits outside of that conversation within their internal infrastructure. That a lot of times it's facilities, or it's there. A lot of businesses already have sustainability coordinators. So how can the wellness coordinator or the person that's in charge of that aspect within their organization open the conversation with those that may hold the purse strings to implement these kinds of initiatives and get them talking to one another, because it could sit outside of a wellness budget, but I think this is a really great way that everyone can begin to talk to one another. Like Priscilla was saying, within their organization, people came from all different parts to really start this. So how can we as wellness coordinators, is my long-winded question, talk to the right people to get going?
That's a great question, and it's kind of like what you're doing, Priscilla. It's working with the facilities team and the communications and HR. All of them play a role. There are a lot of no-cost strategies that it's just about communication and letting people know, hey, we have bus passes at the front desk, or the healthy parking, or setting up an infrastructure that might already exist, but you're linking people to how do you find carpool rides? Because most people, when it comes to carpooling, they'll ask the people who sit immediately next to them, and that's it.
Yep.
But maybe somebody across the way lives 3 blocks from them, has the same commute times. They don't know that. So having some sort of portal that helps people connect rides, that can be often a no-cost thing. So communication is a big thing that often doesn't cost dollars, but it takes, human resources to do the communications. The infrastructure pieces, the facilities, is really where they get interested about, I can actually save money as an organization by not building as much parking, or if I could shave off some of my parking or not maintain it, or it depends on what your it depends on what your current arrangement is. Some organizations will say, well, we already own it, it's our land, we're not going to cut it off and stop maintaining it. But if they're ever expanding or moving, or if they lease from a commercial real estate kind of landlord and they could lease fewer parking spots because more of their employees, there's a real true financial cost savings there. And that's really where kind of facilities can get interested in it. The other things are fairly low cost and simple infrastructure things like bicycling to work. At a minimum, have bike racks. Right? Yeah. There's a lot of employers who don't have those on site. Those don't cost that much, maybe $100 for one of the U-shaped high quality ones. Then you can kind of take the next step of maybe it's a bike locker, or maybe it's indoor bike storage, or maybe you have a shower facility too. So there's different tiers, but you really need to have this comprehensive conversation. If you tie it into wellness because you're getting people to take more steps, to be more active, because of the way they commute, and so they have better health premiums, or however their group health insurance is, the people are happier, more engaged because they're healthier, they're moving more, all the science that talks about that. Then you can often get money from like a facilities, or sometimes a vice president or executive who sees this as a really good idea.
Yeah. I think just to touch too, I know we have a green team. So for me, a way to kind of open the conversation for me in my mind is, this also has environmental impact. And so while we may have LED lights or saving on, our recyclable utensils, and our plates are made out of sugar cane, this is a huge impact to our environment as well. And so taking it from that approach might be something, if you have those green efforts going on, that's another way to kind of start the conversation.
If people like warm, fuzzy ideas, it's really hard to argue against being good to nature and taking care of ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So health and sustainability, at a lot of organizations, they're least funded, but they have some of the highest impact.
Yeah.
So if you show the high impact on health, personal health and wellness, environmental health and wellness, and economic health and wellness, then you can really get people engaged. And if you have somebody at your organization who understands employee engagement, these types of programs, wellness and sustainability, I've seen time and time again, it kind of unleashes this latent potential within employees where they feel permission to walk around, to get up and walk around for 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
They feel permission to ride their bike because there's a bike rack now and there wasn't before. And then they feel more empowered and they're happier to be at work, and all the stuff, the research that Gallup does with engaged employees are more productive employees, they're more creative, they're more innovative. All of that flows from just getting exercise.
Yeah.
And when you get exercise on your commute, you're also helping the environment.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I think it really does articulate WELLCOM's mission is building that entire infrastructure to support all kinds of initiatives, whether it be through the traditional health and wellness model, as well as the other forms of agencies and departments within that infrastructure. So that's exactly what WELLCOM exists to do, is to help pull all the pieces together. So it is very strategic to the bottom line. And then making that impact. But the more data we have, Daniel, to your point, is awesome. So keep up the good work. And I know we're at our time limit, but wanted to just give you all a big high five. And thank you so much for participating. And Justin and Laura, thank you to
high five.
Thanks, Becky.
Thank you, Becky.
Thanks, Becky.
My mom high-fiving you guys too.
Thanks, Mom. High five.
Were there any questions from the callers?
Was there any other questions? With that, then, please, we can access the slides through WELLCOM's portal. I'll always also make sure to send them out to all the participants so you can see their contact information on there if you would have any more questions in the future. Please remember, as Daniel was saying, June 7th at WELLCOM's symposium, that'll be our Q2 symposium. We will be releasing that active commuting toolkit. So you kind of saw a little snippet of kind of what's a part of it. You can kind of see the full package then. So be on the lookout for that. And then as well as with the walking maps, as well as the healthy parking that Lisa and Priscilla were able to talk about, if you're interested in those initiatives, contact us. We can get you in contact with MSpace so you can look at providing some of those resources at your organization as well. We want to reach as many organizations and just like Priscilla said, impact as many people and hopefully save lives as possible. And really just being able to build in a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there, and allowing that, okay from your employer that you can get up and move. It's a big deal and does, have a big impact. So with that, I would like to thank all of our presenters and have a great Memorial Day. Bye.
Thank you.